past 3 years, the curse of Castlevania rages on. And here on this 4th year, on October, where the curse returns every single Halloween season to where I am forced to review Castlevania games. But I'm going to end this curse this year once and for all. Oh, I tell you right now, that curse is definitely raging this year because it's very pissed off with me with last year when I tried to destroy it. So it's going in super mode with Super Castlevania 4 on the Super Nintendo. Get yourself a beverage, sit back, relax, and let's dive into another world of Castlevania with Super Castlevania 4. Super Castlevania 4 was a game I sampled on emulation on a laptop. Just because I wanted to know what all the commotion was about how is this the greatest Castlevania game of all time. Keep in mind, I grew up with the Sega Genesis and didn't have a Super Nintendo, and I didn't play Castlevania games until I was an adult. And again, experimented on computer emulation. So I finally decided to download this on the Wii Virtual Console and give it a whirl myself. And then, you know what? After playing it for a little bit, I've concluded that they could be right. This could be the best Castlevania game of all time. And mostly because of its fluid controls. It is perfect. Perfect control is what you need for a Castlevania game. After 3 vicious attempts in the last 3 games, this one, the control style is amazing. And I think that's what they consider it as one of the best Castlevania games. It's simply the controls. Plus it's 16-bit graphics. So, taken from the Wikipedia excerpt right here, Super Castlevania 4 features expanded play control, 16-bit graphics featuring Super NES Mode 7. Oh yeah, Mode 7, y'all. Mode 7. And a soundtrack featuring new pieces of arrangements based on previous Castlevania music. Man, the music, the soundtrack in Castlevania, it is phenomenal. I love it. Following the same setting as Castlevania on NES, the game takes place in 1691 Transylvania, where the vampire hunter Simon Belmont must defeat the vampire Dracula. The game received critical acclaim and is considered one of the greatest video games of all time, per Wikipedia. The plot is simple. Kill Dracula. That's it. Nothing more to the story but to kill Dracula. Why? Because he's a bad guy. And Simon Belmont, you are a good guy. You are a good guy. It's like the first game, really. The entire game is like exactly the first game. You're once again playing Simon Belmont per the text scroll. And Dracula resurrects every 100 years and comes back. Though in the game summary it says you once again play Simon Belmont. Does this mean, is this either a remake or he's well over 100 years old? You decide. Whichever version you like to interpret. I like to think that this is a remake, and I'm going to go with that route. Not only does this game have 16-bit graphics, but you can whip in all 8 directions. That is amazing, instead of just doing one straight line like in the previous games. I love the ability to whip in all 8 directions. Man, it makes life easier with enemies. And then you can also make the whip go limp and dangle and kill enemies that way too. It's not as effective, but it works. It absolutely works. And your whip can, latch onto stuff and you can just swing across places. That is a great new feature right there. I love it. Sub-weapons are back. You got your crosses, you got your holy water, your axe throwing, your daggers, all that good fun. It is a great time. Hearts are back as well as your ammunition, of course, with these sub-weapons. You gotta whip candles once more to get these things. And then also, wall meat is back. Good old classic, old, crusty, dirty wall meat. That is some good eating to restore your health. And of course, your classic horror villains are once again returning. Medusa, Frankenstein, mummies, and all more. So much more. They're all back. But when you think about it, you might just go ahead and watch my review on the first Castlevania game because it's exactly the same thing. It is. It's straight up the exact same thing. Except, you're playing on the Super Nintendo or, you got 16-bit graphics. You have better control. There's more variation of levels to go through. You got a journey to the castle. And then once you get to the castle, diarrhea really hits the fan on that because this game gets harder as you go. Man, and don't forget the old school classic knockback. Yeah, when you get hit, you go back and you gravitate to the nearest hole that's nearby you. It is all there and accounted for, and it gives you the frustrations of Castlevania games. And that's why I'm getting sick and tired of reviewing Castlevania games every Halloween. Where is this curse at that I can slay it? Do you want to know where I ended with this game? Did I beat it? No, not even close. Actually, for the longest time, I got stuck in the rotating room because the stupid Medusa heads wouldn't leave me alone. And then eventually, lo and behold, I got past it and I made it into the castle. I made it into Castlevania. But then that's where crap really started getting hard. And then I get to this weird block monster. And man, it's seizuring. It is seizuring with the flashes every time you whip this guy. What is up with that? And then you beat him, you get to the next area, and that's where it all just went downhill from there. I couldn't get any further with Super Castlevania 4. Just like Castlevania 1, I couldn't beat that. Castlevania 2 Simon's Quest, I beat that one, I slayed Dracula, and I ended the curse forever because if you get the bad ending, where, as Lance Archer puts it, everybody dies. Everybody dies. So you die, Dracula's dead, the curse is gone. What other reasons do we need to keep doing this vampire hunting? But no, then you get a prequel with Castlevania 3, Dracula's Curse. What curse is there to be had? Because the curse was in Simon's Quest. It was that curse that Simon was cursed in that game. Why are we calling 3 Dracula's Curse? And you take up Trevor Belmont, and then you take up with Sypha Belnades, Grant the Nasty, who's nowhere to be found in the Castlevania Netflix series at all. And then you got Alucard, the pretty boy himself, even though he's not so pretty in that game, but he is later on in Symphony of the Night. And just all sorts of hard bull crap stuff with Castlevania 3. Couldn't get that far in there either. And you go through the woods. I go through the woods. And you have to deal with those godforsaken owls in the woods. And here we are with Super Castlevania 4, which is ultimately a remake. I went back in time to replay the first game with better controls, better graphics, more to the game, but it's still the same stuff. So, I hear you don't like Castlevania games. You're having a hard time with this curse, huh? Well, guess what? Because of last year, when you tried to destroy me, I'm going to give you an extra dose of Castlevania! This year, it's a doubleheader! A doubleheader! Now, I'm cursing you to play Castlevania Bloodlines on the Sega Genesis! Alright, Curse. You want me to play that, huh? You want me to play that? This better be the last game that I play and end this curse once and for all. I will not lift the curse. You still have plenty more Castlevania games to choose from, like the Game Boy games, the Advanced games, and others. Oh, so you want me to review the other games too? Well, here we go. Let's give this a quick review. The Castlevania Game Boy games, they suck the big one. The advanced games, it's just reliving the glory of Castlevania Symphony of the Night, which coined the phrase Metroidvania because of its map systems that's just like Metroid, alright? And I only have the mobile port of Symphony of the Night, which is absolutely atrocious. And all I got to is face a shaft, you dig? And then, don't get me started with Dracula X, which is basically a sad port of Rondo of Blood! There! Satisfied? You know what? Just review Bloodlines, we'll call it good. Oh, and by the way, that's it for this week's video. Don't stay safe out there, and don't take care.